Texas football
Horns!
did lose last year in the semifinals to Ohio State.
Again.
But that's not what we are talking about today. We are
talking about the
starting
future.
our way too early college football individual team outlooks for the
Oh,
2025 season. We love football. We've been talking way too early rankings lists and the whole 9 yards. Now we're going to dive into individual teams. The first team
baby.
on our list is none other than Mr. Yoon's team himself,
Hug 'em.
the Texas Longhorns. And they have a new quarterback at the helm this year. Arch
He's a Manning.
Heisman favorite.
Manning.
So I'm going to hand it off to Mike, and then everyone can go around and kind of talk about the Texas football outlook
Propaganda. Oh,
heading
sorry.
into 2025.
Whoa. Well, it's time, baby. The season is approaching quickly. It is time for your Texas Longhorns to become the new national champions.
Let's get
This is gonna be
Let's get steps first. Like SEC championship.
Sure.
Well, you gotta do it in order.
sure.
Just making sure.
We'll get all of those in 1 year, and it'll
Oh,
be this
okay.
year.
You'll sweep it.
We're going to pass week 1 first.
No. But this is starting with a new man taking the helm. His name is Arch Manning. He's a Manning with wheels. We got a lot of returning defensive star power with Anthony Hill. We got Colin Simmons, one of the best edge rushers in college football, coming back. We have Michael Taft, super senior, just coming, bringing that excellent leadership.
12th year.
I mean,
Stalsky 2.0.
he's old. He's been there for like 6 years. But Malik Muhammad, we got a bunch of people.
that's-
And then we
I
also
want to
have
talk about him later. I want to put a pin mark in
Sure,
Malik
put a
Muhammad.
pin mark in Malik Muhammad. But we also have a new defensive backs coach in Dwayne Akina, and he was formerly at ASU, who we actually just beat in the Peach Bowl.
As a result of a defensive backs error.
Kind of.
It's pretty sharp.
Kind of. It was actually more of a result of Quinn Ewers being
Wait, are you telling
extremely
me
intelligent.
on
Throwing
4th
to a
and
guy that was
long,
wide
the
open.
defensive backs coach called the wrong thing and then you hired him?
No, I'm saying
Texas bribed Arizona State coaching to win that
It's
game.
genius. They offered him a job if they lost. On the spot.
Breaking news. Mark
We're-
broke it first.
Regardless, Dwayne Aquino was the defensive backs coach during Mac Brown's tenure during the 2005 national champion team. So, I think he's going to be a great addition for leadership in that area. Also, a lot of times in the postseason last year, we saw that, when teams were gaining back the lead that we had built, it was because of their passing and their offensive firepower that they're able to throw at our secondary. I think this addition is going to be a really good one. One of the weak points that people are kind of speculating into is going to be our offensive line for Texas. Most notably, the loss of our 4 starters. The one person who is coming back is Trevor Gooseby, who is actually the lowest rated out of the 5 linemen that we're going to have. But in my opinion, he's the most versatile. We saw him bounce around at 3 different positions last year, play them in a starting caliber, fashion. And then the people who we do have coming back, we have DJ Campbell, who was the #1 interior offensive lineman for his recruiting class 2 years ago. We also have Cole Hudson, who had 1,300 snaps last year and was, I think, the #2 offensive tackle, I think 3 years ago. And then we hit a couple big transfers as well. So I think our season is looking very, very good, especially when we're looking at terms of our schedule. We have the 4th easiest for the SEC. I mean, I think that's going to help for building momentum into going into a later weeks of the year. And so, yeah.
Nice.
Hook 'em horns,
Yeah,
baby.
we can each say what we think about Texas, then we'll go through the schedule game by game at the end and talk about the Vegas win total and where we think they'll fall on that side.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike did cover a lot there with Texas. I think Arch is the least of the questions I have about this team, to be completely honest. He's the Heisman favorite. It's plus 700 for a reason. And I don't think that means he's going to win the Heisman necessarily. But I think there's a very, very good chance Arch Manning is one of the best 5 quarterbacks in college football. Mannings really never do bad, especially in college. I mean, there's been 3 Mannings drafted in the NFL. They went 2nd overall, then 1st overall, then 1st overall. Arch is much more mobile. We saw flashes. I thought he was the better option than Quinn last year. So in no world am I switching on Arch Manning. I think he's going to be very good. The O-line is a total problem, complete problem, and that's where Arch can have some issues. Like you said, the one returning starter was the worst of the 5.
Trevor Gooseby.
So your running
that
backs
guy.
coming back. I know you have Wisner. CJ Baxter is going to be back
gonna
this
be
year
healthy,
as well.
yup.
They're going to need a block because, especially playing in the SEC and even like your week 1 game, your out of conference game against Ohio State, those D lines are going to be good. And if Arch is having to scramble a lot, he can do it, but it's just not going to be as easy on a quarterback in his first full year starting.
For sure.
I don't love the wide receivers nearly as much as I did last year. Ryan Wingo's good, and I think he'll be a good wide receiver 1. And then your projected starters are Khalil Lockett, who's, I know he's a 5-star, but he's a freshman, true freshman. Maybe he's a beast. Yeah, he's lined up as a backup. And then DeAndre Moore, I know, is your slot wide receiver. So they're fine. They're probably not as explosive as last year. And then the defense should be good. I know Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill are coming back. Michael Taft is really good. But I don't know how people are expecting these defensive backs to be spectacular. I mean, Malik Muhammad's projected a first rounder in like 4 or 5 mock drafts.
It's absurd.
I don't know if we watched this guy play last year. He was horrendous.
Terrible. Absolutely
like literally horrendous. You called him a terrorist.
In the Clemson game.
In
In the Clemson game,
multiple games.
Clemson game, he was awful.
He was getting like targeted. Dabo never even switches shit up, and he was like, I don't even care. Run a separate play. Get this guy one-on-one.
Yep.
He was getting... So maybe he made some huge steps in the offseason. I'm not saying he can't, because young players tend to develop well, especially if they were a starter when they're like a sophomore or junior, then start again next year. They'll probably be a lot better. But yeah, that's my... I don't have questions on the talent on this Texas team. I think there's some spots on this team that are questionable. I think defensive backs are one, and I think O-line is the biggest one. But yeah, I mean, you have, high NFL talent on this roster. Whether or not Sark can get it done and win games, we'll talk their schedule later, is the question I have.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. My biggest thing was the back end of it, the DBs. Losing half the field with Barron, pretty much. I mean, he's the Thorpe winner for a reason.
Yeah, Michael Taft is good, but he's not like
He's
an
not John
NFL
A. Barron.
He's also a
superstar.
safety, so there's a whole different world in college
Totally.
with safeties. And I just feel like you were talking about your biggest problem was the passing ability of the other teams late in games. I mean, I don't know how you're going to stop, especially SEC, which is only getting better in offense, in my opinion. A lot of these quarterbacks, any of these SEC teams. I think your offense will be fine. You were talented last year. I think Arch. I'm on the minority in Arch. I don't think he's going to be this god that everyone's looking at, or like he still has a lot to develop and a lot to learn. I just think you lost a lot of talent. Like you took a step down talent wise at a lot of positions, and even like Quinn to Arch. Like Quinn was still like he might not win the biggest games, but in games he was good. Like he was developed, he knew how to play, and just it was deep in games or big games that he sucked. So I just think, I don't know, this team has such high expectations, and they've done the same thing every year. So it's kind of like you get nervous, and it's kind of like what Ohio State was before they were allowed to, before they won. It's just like, I don't expect anything special. I mean, I expect like you might make it to the SEC championship, you'll probably lose, and then you're a second round exit. You know what I mean? Like pretty standard. And I don't know why everyone has this on a pedestal when I think last year's team was so much better than this year's team. Like miles. You had like, 11, 12 draft picks and 5 or 6 in the first 2 rounds. Like, I don't know. I just think that people are looking at this team way too high. I mean, and I think they're not as good as what people think.
Yeah, I mean, Arch Manning's got to be the reason for that.
I'm saying
right?
that's
Just
why.
for the
So
hype around
that's
it.
why I opened with I'm in the minority. 'Cause
Yeah.
that would make sense.
Mario, what are you thinking?
I mean, I'm not going to reiterate too much of what you guys already said because
Yeah.
you guys both pretty much hit everything, nail on the head right there. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle between you and Arch. I know you think Arch is Anakin Skywalker.
Yes.
I think you think he's just a mortal man. I think he's somewhere in between. I think he probably, I lean more towards Tyler's sentiment of like he's going to be insanely good. But like we know, like it's hard to reach that level if you don't have good pass protection. And this is kind of, I guess, segueing into, I know we're going to talk about every single game,
Yep.
or at least
I
go
have
over
them
it.
pulled up
But
whenever you're ready.
I really think that first game of the year is going to be huge for this Texas team in general. If they can find success in that game and come out with a win, I think their season trajectory is completely different versus if they go out there, just get handled,
Totally.
lose by 2 scores.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, we can dive into that
Yeah.
game if you want. Yeah, we can go ahead and start their schedule. So on August 30th, week 1, they play on the road at the current national champions in Columbus at Ohio State.
A horseshoe.
Mike, we're going to go through the schedule top to bottom, but I mean, this has got to be one of the games that you have circled.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think this and Georgia are the 2 big, key matchups for us in the year. I think this is going to be...
Win total's 9.5, by the way, and it's minus 175. So It's
Wow.
right between.
Pretty much
The
should
line
have
should be
3
at
losses.
10
It's
games.
Basically, if they lose to Oklahoma,
They're expected 2 losses.
Yeah.
Which I think
basically
if
with
they
the
no,
schedule.
it's if we lose to
Florida-
A&M, I think.
Florida
Well, I'm
It's
saying
higher.
it's minus 175, so they just can't put the line at 10.5.
It's the
for
2
everyone
games
to
and
go.
then one of the
Yeah,
SEC.
but
bad
sorry,
games.
continue. I forgot to say that.
No, you're good. I think yeah, for me personally as a Texas fan, I think we're going to take care of Oklahoma because we already, we beat them all
Good
the
luck
time.
this year.
I also think A&M, we
Well,
beat
let's
them
start-
at home.
We're gonna go
and-
game by game.
Sure, okay.
Ohio State.
So when we look at Ohio State, I think it is going to be the most difficult game besides, Georgia, obviously. But it's going to be extremely difficult because it's the new look of offense, and you're going to expect them to be in pretty much midseason form where everything's going to be clicking. Everyone will have chemistry because that's what you're going to need to take down a national defending champion team in Ohio State, especially at their home. And I think it's going to be really tough, but Mario's absolutely right. I think if we can get those wheels turning fast, our schedule is favorable enough to where we can build that momentum, keep it going into the next harder matchup, which is Georgia. But again, I think this first one is a big key look into like how slowly we can get our team rolling.
Yeah, so you think you're gonna win that game?
I think it's going to be close. I don't even know
All
if
right, so 50-50.
50-50.
All right,
Yeah.
Ryan.
I mean, yeah, Ohio State's going to win that game pretty
Okay.
simply. I just think it's because it's the first game. Arch is going to have a lot thrown at him. The offensive line, a bunch of transfers that have to figure it out in a live game scenario against an unbelievable defense every year, pretty much never changes, is just going to be tough. I mean, maybe we just have a bad game, maybe low-scoring game, your defense steps up. But I think game 1, just for Texas to get the ball rolling, it's a little slow to start. I think we'll be fine.
Do you have any worries about Julian Sand? Because this is going to be his
No.
first start as well.
No, because we have the best offensive player in the world, and all you have to do is start.
That's
him.
why I think you win the game.
And our offensive line is always
Yeah,
better. No matter-
I think I don't trust. I mean, we've said, all 3 of us have kind of said we have questions about Texas. Their DBs, their secondary. I don't know how they're going to guard Jeremiah Smith. I mean, unless they just put 2 or 3 people on him the entire game, which they might do, but then that's going to be a lot
I
of
was gonna
pressure
say,
on the other.
Probably very similarly to how they guarded them when they played him in the playoffs. I
Yeah.
mean, Jeremiah Smith was completely blanketed
they did have
in the playoffs.
But they had Ibuka who
They also-
just
Yeah,
went
and then
crazy.
Mbuka
and Johnny,
did.
for
They
sure.
had Johnny Barron, which also.
Yeah, which helps. But I think they probably play a very similar scheme because against Ohio State, if we're being honest, that worked.
Yeah.
It worked. I mean, Ohio State had 2 touchdown drives in the game. They had
And
the
the
kick
one
return. They had
breakaway.
I'm sorry, not the kick return. The 75-yard screen at the end of the game, and then the fumble 6. I have a similar thought though. I think both these teams were fleeced
I think it's 50-50.
by the draft. I think it's very close to 50-50, but I think Ohio State wins. I'd probably put it 60-40. I think quarterback play, Texas definitely has a pretty big edge. It's going to be a very tough game for Julian Sand to step into, even though it's at home.
Yeah.
But I just think Ohio State, what they have returning on their team is special when they have probably players 1 and 2 in college football, and they're both not going in the draft next year. Like when you look at mock draft projections, that's great and all, but some sophomores are still better than some of the juniors
Yeah.
and seniors, and that's the case on Ohio State with Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
So I have Ohio State winning that one. But then you look at their next couple games. They're San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston. I think we're probably all giving 3 wins. 3 wins to Texas there. At Florida, does anyone see any trouble with at Florida?
No.
I think this is a very interesting spot for
I think it's a tough spot too. Only because they have such walks. Like, so the Ohio State game, win or lose, they figure it out the next 3 weeks regardless. They're going to win by 40.
Yeah, and then 3 straight home games against nobodies.
Exactly. Then you have to go into Florida for your first after test from Ohio State.
First SEC game.
and first
Yeah,
SEC
first
game,
SEC
and
game.
Florida's going to have that blood pumping, especially after last year. They didn't get the chance because DJ got hurt.
And who knows
So-
how good they're going to be. I mean, DJ Lagway could be QB1 or
Now,
QB30.
is Texas going to be favored by 7.5, in my opinion? I
Probably.
think they're probably going to win. Yes, but I think it'll be their first test of a real game, like SEC environment. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I think that's as close to a 50-50 game as you see on this schedule, to be honest. Because I think Ohio State game's probably slanted in their favor. We'll get to the rest of them. But I think this is just the one weird spot on their schedule just because it's their first. I mean, they go away at Ohio State, really tough. Then literally 3 cakewalk home games.
20-point favorites. minimum.
Into in Florida. Florida might be undefeated or just 1 loss at this time. They'll still probably be ranked. I mean, this is Florida's Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So this is the one spot. Are you worried about this at all as a Texas fan?
Of course. I mean, it's an SEC game and it's our SEC opener. I think, all conference games, especially in what I think is one of the premier conferences right behind Big
Hell
Ten
yeah. I
because
love them.
Right
both
behind the
together.
Big Ten.
right behind the Big Ten because they won the past 2 national chip, so you can't really talk too much about it. But again, I think any conference opener is going to put a little extra emphasis on it. And again, Florida being a top half SEC team, of course it's going to be a little worrisome. But I just think our team is better. Like I think we're just going to go and just be better.
I agree. I actually think the week after is the week that everyone
Oklahoma.
seems to be overlooking, and I don't know. Maybe
What do you think? What do you think
Mateer,
about
baby.
Oklahoma could eat my ass,
No,
bro.
Mateer. I've said
Crazy.
this before. Like, obviously last year, I mean, they just had zero help on offense,
Yeah,
but their
Jackson
defense, like, I don't know. I still trust Brent Venables. Like, their defense isn't bad. Like, I think it's like a false flag. Like, everyone looks at the like final scores and they're like, oh, like Oklahoma was terrible. It's like, no, dude, they'd be in games for like 2.5, 3 quarters. Just like
And the
their
defense would be tired because they've been on
can't
the
play
field every.
an entire football game
Yeah.
on defense and then expect to like hold a team and win a game.
Yeah.
I think Mateer is super slept on. They brought the running back
Jade Knott.
I think they're going to have an actual offense. And I think, with a good defense that's going to be sound, it's a lot of guys returning, and then you have new weapons on offense that no one really knows how to, game plan for. Obviously, like it'll be halfway during the season once they meet. But that rivalry as well. If they have any semblance of talent,
kind of a crapshoot.
it's going to be
Yeah.
a crapshoot just because of the like emotions and
Electricity,
environment.
yeah.
Like that's just how these rivalry games go.
I agree.
I think everyone's overlooking that game. I think they handle business at Florida. I think that's a game that they could drop.
Yeah, I disagree with that completely. And I think
I know every
it's-
Texas fan does, and
I just think
I'm just surprised. Like
it's easy to have hindsight is so 2020 with last year it was just Oklahoma was nothing because of X, Y, and Z problems. But going into the Red River Showdown last year, it was the same kind of hesitancy of Quinn's kind of not fully back yet. Like how is he going to be when he returns? Like we were dealing with injury problems. We like kind of stumbled a little bit because Arch let up a couple touchdowns in the game before, and it's like it's just belt to ass for the past fucking 2 years. For the next
Well,
25
When they do have
years,
a when
it's
they do
gonna
have a
be belt to
quarterback
ass.
though,
Like, I mean,
they beat
it's-
you.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just think our team is better, and I think our quarterback is going to be significantly better than their quarterback for the next
Do you think that's
X
a,
amount of
do you
time.
think this
And I think what the loss that you're talking about was Quinn's first year at Texas under a brand new system.
Arch's
that was the last
first
time
year at starting.
No. But Arch is just better.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, that's how.
Ryan, do you think this is a
Arch is
loss for
actually just
Texas?
I don't know about a loss. It's hard to when you have a roster that's worth 150 million. It's
They are
hard.
paying. What is the actual number? Isn't it like 40 plus?
It's not 40 plus. Sark is adamantly defending that it's not a 40.
What did you say? it is?
39.9?
30 Yeah,
I don't know. He's not giving a number, but he's saying
Wow,
it's
that's
not 40.
ESPN posted it was the first ever $40+ million.
He said it's
NIL.
not 40, and that's fake news.
belligerent amount
Well,
of money.
it's probably
to spend on it.
really close to 40.
He said
Yeah.
it's fake
Alright.
news.
Anyways, when you have that big of a or that much money in a roster, I think it's hard to predict any loss. They should win every game. I actually don't see this being that tough because it's at home. I like other
Well,
games.
isn't it
in Dallas.
It's at the.
Oh,
it's at the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh, they
it's
split it?
always
Yeah.
paid.
Oh, okay.
It's always
I mean,
played at the-
neutral
Oh,
site
if they
every
split it
time.
up and it doesn't look
It's
Texas
always neutral site.
dominated,
It's all yeah.
It's always neutral
then
site.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes the fans get a little dominated on one side when it's neutral. But yeah, I think
Well, it's in Texas.
I'm saying so. So it looks like
It's not far from Oklahoma. Though.
but it says half and then it's
no.
80% Texas. You're like, what the hell am I watching?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
regardless, I don't think it'll be that difficult this game. I think also the Florida game is such a good test to bounce back if anything happens, and if they're winning and on fire, it'll kind of just
Not
like
an
roll.
easy bounce to back or back to back for Texas.
Florida, Oklahoma.
Yeah, because you then have 2 away games after that.
Always sneaky
at
games.
Kentucky, at Mississippi State.
Sneaky
I don't think you'll have
games.
problems with either of
I,
those.
yeah.
They're
don't either.
sneaky every year.
I mean,
One of those
it's,
teams.
it's SEC like conference games. Every conference game has like some kind of meaning and
I feel like you
emphasis
wasted
behind
your
it.
home games this year.
But well, I mean,
sure.
I'm just looking at the schedule. Like
It's not-
your home
it's
games
not a
are-
great schedule.
Are all away. Yeah, your home games are cake. Like you
It's-
shouldn't lose a home game. You get Vanderbilt home next. I mean,
Oh,
you're
for
not
sure.
losing that. But I think it gets a little sketchy. Then we have that week or the 10th game at Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone think Texas can win this game?
no.
No.
I mean, yes.
I mean, I have it as a 0% chance of win.
Oh, I mean, I think there's a percent.
Oh yeah, there's a percent.
Georgia hasn't lost a home game since 2019.
yeah,
When was the last time they lost
It's
to Texas?
2025. Oh, also probably 2004.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
just not as big on Gunnar Stockton as everyone else is.
But it's
so-
just Georgia,
Yeah,
Texas.
it's just Georgia.
It's just
Yeah.
Georgia.
It's like Ohio State, Michigan.
how many
the last
quarterbacks has
couple
That was
Georgia
the
had
first
since
time-
20? How many quarterbacks Georgia had since 2019? How many of them are starters in the NFL?
I mean,
Zero.
regardless, like us seeing Georgia twice last year was the first 2 times that we actually saw them at matter. I think, experience is going to help. Sark gets another year in the SEC. It's kind of back end.
So you think
of
you have a decent shot at
It's
this?
just always
I just don't think it's 0%.
It's always
I
like the
think-
next year, we get this. It's always like this, and it's never just no, we get it done. It's always that every single time.
It's always hope.
Yeah.
Sure, I don't know what that
They
means,
lose.
but okay.
No, it's just
All right, and then
I guess
you end the season home against Arkansas and home against A&M.
win-win.
Yeah, win-win in my mind. So we have 10 games, we have 8 games that we gave them as guaranteed wins. And then we have the 2 losses for consensus as Ohio State, Georgia. I know there's some contention, maybe not. But then, so it's like 8-2. And then you have those 2 games, Florida, and then Oklahoma and the Red River, for a win total of 9.5 at -175. So if you think they win every game besides Ohio State and Georgia, you're going to lay the money nearly 2-1 on the over.
Yeah, a lot of money.
So you're going to lay the over.
A lot of money.
I'm taking the under, not because I think they go 9-3, but because I think it's higher probability, maybe 50-50, but it's a higher probability than the odds are telling you. Because it's plus 145 if you take the under, and I think it's really close to 50-50 as to whether or not they go over or under this total. So I think you're just slightly winning if you take the under, but I think it's not a gimme in either direction.
Yeah, I mean, my thing value-wise, though, is like, especially if we're going back to the Ohio State, which, I personally have it at 50-50. I think I heard 50-50.
Yeah, if you think
somewhere
that's
else.
50-50 and Georgia's
then
like 30, then you're all over the over.
you just purely based on the value, getting a win in a spot or a 50% chance at a win in a spot that other people have as a locked loss for that number, that's value
For sure.
right there. So I think,
Yeah, I see what you mean. If you're giving any percent chance to Ohio State game and then you have 20% chance to win at Georgia, then the odds definitely shift in that favor.
Because
sorry.
well, just like theoretically, because if we go into the season 1-0, and then what do you think the value of that bet would be? Right,
Oh,
it
I'm
would end
gonna
up
tell
being
you
like
right.
minus 500
Yeah.
for that. Okay,
sure.
yeah.
If you guys Texas, it's very simple what their season's going to look like. It's going to go 2 ways. If they lose to Ohio State, they go 9-3. If they beat Ohio State, undefeated.
Wow.
Heard it here first.
They win in Georgia.
Yeah, if they beat
Wow.
Ohio State, then they'll win.
I like that.
By the time they hit
I like
Georgia,
that a lot.
So if you're betting this line for the viewers at 9.5 win total minus 175, are you over or under?
I don't think they beat Ohio State.
So you're under.
So I think they go 9-3. I think they lose to Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Georgia.
Okay.
Wow.
So you're taking
Us
the
losing
under.
to Oklahoma
Ryan.
is barred out.
Yeah, I think actually Texas got screwed with the scheduling. Normally you have that tough game to start, and then it's not really worried because you can get hot at the end. But their hot at the end is tough SEC games
Georgia.
with a Georgia game
On the road.
on the road. So I think they actually got screwed, especially for the committee at the end and the whole SEC standings. I love this under. I think it's just a classic SEC blunder you'll have in one of those 6. Like even the Mississippi State, Kentucky after Oklahoma, Florida is still like a tester game. If you happen to lose Ohio State and Georgia, you have no chance hitting that over.
I also think 9-3 Texas for sure makes the college football playoffs.
Yeah.
By the way, I
think
think
they
the
do.
chance this team makes the college football playoffs are as close to 100 as you can get. They're going to be preseason ranked 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
And then they're going to have, say they lose to Ohio State and Georgia, at the end of the year, that'll probably be a loss to
The 1 and 3.
2 top 5 teams.
Yeah.
So when they look at that, you'll have that third loss. You'll be the 9-win team that gets in. Especially, we don't know what the playoffs are going to look like this year. There might be a 16-team playoff
Ugh.
with 4 auto bids or something
Please, no.
crazy that
Yeah.
they switch up. This Texas team is a playoff team. Arch, I think, will be a good quarterback. This win total number is a little gnarly, though, just for the 2 kind of juggernaut away games. You couldn't find another team besides an Oklahoma that has as gnarly of a schedule as Texas's away games do. Your home games are
Yeah.
Belligerent.
Also,
Crazy.
we do have to factor in, I know we're kind of biased, but Georgia still has to be good. In a world where Georgia regressed, which they have regressed, and say they're a 3-4 loss team this year, I don't really think about that. I don't know why in my brain, because you guys just have a problem with Georgia. It's like the Michigan thing. Michigan's not good, but they beat the number 1 team in the country last
4
year.
straight years.
I'm saying,
Wait.
so same thing I view with Georgia. Georgia could not be that great last year and be a
but
10
they
to
just
12
have our
seed.
number
But they
type
just have
deal?
your number.
Oh,
So I could be wrong
like
with
us
that.
with
My brain
Oklahoma.
still thinks Georgia's the best team in the
Well,
country.
Georgia. I mean, we're gonna have
Can't get off it.
we're gonna have a Georgia schedule breakdown, and their schedule. They have 3 of the gnarliest
Juggernaut,
home
yeah.
games you will see in a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
Hosting Bama, Texas, Ole Miss, and
Yeah.
I
Love
think
it.
they go there's a couple others in there that are kind of disgusting. But let us know what you think about the Texas Longhorns
'em
outlook
horns,
heading
baby.
into the new season.
Hook 'em
People
horns.
are pretty polar opposites on this team. I know Mike's real excited to see Arch get behind center. But we'll be obviously talking a lot of football going forward, and we're going to be covering all the different teams. So drop a comment if there's a team that you want us to do a season outlook for, and we'll add it to the list and definitely cover it. Comment below, share with a friend, subscribe.
Yeah, give me a Toledo.
We'll see you on the next one.
Hook 'em.